Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the presentation. I appreciate you all of y'all being here. Of course, we had to deal with some trolls. Of course, the trolls had to come in here, do what they always do, because everybody, they're adults who pretend to be adults, but they're really just kids. That's what they are. They're just kids. Although I never acted like a fool when I was a kid. We weren't allowed to. We acted like we had two brain cells. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the presentation. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys being here. Well, happy Friday to you, wherever you are in this world. I hope it's a good Friday. I hope you're having a good Friday. I hope you're having a good time in this beautiful, beautiful world, wherever you are. It is Friday. It's a time to where we just, we you know what? We just forget all the stress of the world. And we just chat. That's what we do. We're going to have a good time. This monitor keeps. We're going to have a good time. I'm really looking forward to it. This show is going to be a fun show, and we'll talk about that in just a second because I love the topic. Anything paranormal, I'm like, woohoo, let's go. So today, by the way, we're going to talk about the Enfield Monster, but we'll also talk about cryptids, other cryptids as well. And so. If wherever you are in this world, hopefully you're going to sit back, relax, and enjoy. But before we do, I want you to do yourself a favor. I want you to go to a website because it's a wonderful website. And matter of fact, this website, they sponsor our show. And it's KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. KGRADB.com. Now, they have some amazing paranormal shows there. They have really shows from all genre. Matter of fact, this show airs on that platform, and I'm honored to be a member of the KGRADB family. However, when you subscribe, put Bishop as your promo code because you're going to get 30% off of your subscription. Now, I don't receive a kickback on this at all. I told them, I said, because I'm using your platform, I'm willing to promote. So this is what I do. So please help them. Go to their website, but make sure you put Bishop as a promo code. 30% off your subscription. They're already, very affordable as it is, but if you're going to get 30%, save 30%. Yes, it's all over. It's everywhere. It's all, no matter where you are in the world, you can go to, because it's a website, KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. So it's online. And they have really some great shows there. By the way, I have been told, Mr. Producer, you let me know if this is true. I think Mr. Producer said that this show is doing very well in the paranormal genre. Is that correct? Is that correct, Mr. Producer? If you could just say yes or no, or Bishop Long, you've been drinking too much of Miss Wilma's. Oh, yes. Wow. Look at that. So there we go, guys. So this show right here does very, very well in the paranormal genre. And Mr. Producer, do me a favor before you take a nap. Do me a favor and put all the shows like the type of genres. Maybe just a rundown. That way we can let people know about this site. And because it's not just paranormal, there's a lot of other things, a lot of other shows that they have on this network. It's not just paranormal. And so, you might want to, Grandpa's old cough medicine. That's right. Yeah. So anyway, KGRADB. Also, go to my website if you want to, BishopJamesLong, LONG.com. BishopJamesLong, LONG.com. By the way, if you want to take courses for free, that word free is always a good word, isn't it? Well, you can, because I'm offering now free courses. Free. You're going to learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. And a tremendous amount of work went into putting these courses together. I'm very proud of them. But I also believe that education is far more important than making a buck. Even when I had it up there, it was $49.99. I wasn't pushing it very much. We'd have maybe 1 or 2 students sign up per month. So it wasn't like I was making bank, as a troll once said, 1 to 2 students a month. Nonetheless, what's important to me is that people are educated. That's far more important. than making $1. So bishopjameslong.com, click on the class link, and you can learn anywhere. It's all online. You learn at your own pace. So there you go. And also, if you want to learn more about the church, because a lot of people ask, well, what about the church? What is this? What is that? Well, simply go to usocc.org, usocc.org. And it's there. All the questions are presented for you. And many people have the same questions that people ask all the time, which, I understand, because maybe you don't know much about the church and you're interested. Well, there you go. You can find out about it. But Mr. Producer, if you could, before you, could you just send me a message there and let us know the genre? All this, like, you don't have to do all of them, but just at least some of the genres that are on the KGRADB radio. That way I can let people know, because I definitely want to keep, promoting it and letting people know about the network. So, yeah, there we are. And by the way, tonight we do have our night prayer. So night prayer is this evening. So we start on Spreaker at 9:45 p.m. Eastern. And we are also, we go on TikTok at 9:50 p.m. Eastern. So night prayer officially starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All related to the paranormal. Okay, good. All right. Well, there we go, folks. Law enforcement veteran show. Well, that's awesome. So seriously, guys, go on over, take a look at it. Make sure you subscribe. Put Bishop as your promo code, and there you go. Tonight is a cool topic. Very cool topic. And we're going to talk about the Enfield Monster, as well as other cryptids. Because, look, anytime we talk about, I love cryptids. And we'll talk about what in the world cryptids. We'll talk about that in just a second. But anything that's related to the paranormal, I'm all about it. A conversation about the Bible that has a constitution in it. I don't know what Sunday and Wednesday we do. So, by the way, for those of you who don't know, so Sundays and Wednesdays, we have Bible study. And Monday through Friday, we have night prayer at 10 p.m. Eastern. And Friday is our paranormal show, and Saturday is our open mic show. So, yeah, we're here a lot, and which is a good thing. Kind of lets everybody know that we're trying to be here for as many people as we possibly can and do as many shows as we possibly can. It's not always easy, but nonetheless, we do what we can. I am going to do royalty free because that way we don't, because I always like that ambient royalty free kind of a chill out, music. You know what I mean? And we're not doing the electro thing. That's no, not going to happen. We'll see what this does. What in the world? This is royalty free. Well, no wonder it is. Good grief. No wonder that's royalty free. I mean, no offense, but I mean, we can't have that on for Spooky Fridays. Come on. No. All right. Yeah, we'll just, there we go. All right, yeah. So tonight we're going to talk about the Enfield Monster. And by the way, I do have a special guest with us this evening, and he's going to talk a little bit about his own personal experience. And of course, we all know him as Willie Windwalker Gibson. Hello there, Willie Windwalker Gibson. How are you doing today, my friend?
Doing okay, James.
You know a little bit about cryptids, don't you? Just a little bit.
Yeah, I've been called up on a few old cases.
And I cannot wait to talk to you about some of these cryptids. And we're also going to talk about the Enfield Monster and what that's all about too. So, but we'll do that in just a second. In the meantime, if you could just chill, sit back, relax. And I'm going to do a presentation on the Enfield Monster, and then we're going to open up for you and talk to you about your experience and what you've seen and what you've witnessed. How's that?
Okay.
All right, so I'll be with you in just a second, bud. All right, so Willie Windwalker Gibson, of course, he's a shaman. He's a buddy of mine. He's been in the paranormal field for a very long time, has experienced quite a bit. I mean, a lot of pretty scary things. And we're going to talk about what he's experienced, especially when it comes to cryptids. But let's go into this. First of all, cryptids, when we talk and we say cryptids, we're talking about like creatures that perhaps maybe are not defined scientifically speaking. For example, Bigfoot. So Bigfoot, the origin is North America, especially areas like Pacific Northwest. And the descriptions are a large bipedal ape-like creature. Bipedal, for those in Kentucky, it stands in two legs. Sorry, I'm from Kentucky. I'm allowed to say that. Many times they're covered, obviously, lots of hair. Thousands of reported sightings since the 19th century. They're well known for elusive footprints and occasional blurry photographs and videos. There's a lot of symbolism there. There's also Loch Ness Monster, otherwise known as Nessie. The origin was in Scotland, in Loch Ness. It's described as a long-necked aquatic creature. Aquatic, in those in Kentucky, that means in water. Reminiscent, of course, of some dinosaurs. This has been since the 1930s. There was actually a famous surgeon's photograph from 1934. Unfortunately, it was later exposed as a hoax. Nonetheless, the Yeti would be a cryptid, or otherwise known as the Abominable Snowman, or Miss Wilma when she gets up in the morning. Don't tell her I said that. The origins is the Himalayan region of Nepal and Tibet. So it's a large ape-like creature, often depicted as a white furred due to snowy environment. Expeditions and local lore date back centuries. And you're telling. And of course, there's a lot of people who've said that they've seen this. Chupacabra would be considered a cryptid. And it was first reported in Puerto Rico. And of course, stories spread across Latin America and southern United States. It's a creature, thank you, that attacks livestock, especially goats, and reputed to drink the blood. So now they're vampires. There was actually first sighted in the 1990s or so. But of course, there's earlier reportings. There's the Mothman. Mothman would be a cryptid. Point Pleasant, West Virginia, USA. A large moth-like creature with glowing red eyes. Perhaps maybe people say that I saw a Mothman. I don't know if I saw a Mothman, but what I did know is I saw something. And I'm going to pick Willie Windwalker's mind here a little bit later, and we're going to figure out what this was. But anyway, these are creatures that are just simply not defined. So now let's talk about the Enfield Monster. A lot of people don't know about this thing, but this was unbelievably popular and very well known. So if you like scary cryptid stories, let's get into it. Willie, I tell you what, let's do this so that you don't have to sit. Let's do this. Why don't we talk about your cases of cryptids? Let's do that first, and then I'll get into the Enfield Monster. So then you can hang up. You don't have to hang around just on hold. So let's do this. Let's see. This is how you do it. You switch programming because I'm a professional. And we're gonna get into Willie's story. So Willie, talk to us a little bit. What have you experienced? What have you seen when it comes to cryptids? Tell us what you've experienced.
Well, James, I've gotten a lot of calls from people that well, I've seen this and I've seen that, and I don't know what it is, and I think it's a devil. I think it's the Mothman, the Jersey Devil, and all that kind of things. And they asked me about Bigfoot, and one case I had was, I don't know if it was a cryptid or not, but I had a lady call me and said that this creature has been coming in and out of her house, and there's nothing that she can do about it, because every time the creature would come in the house, that she would become paralyzed. So I asked her what she was experiencing, what did this thing look like, and she said it kind of looked like a troll or something of that nature, about 4 foot tall, and it had human-like features, but it had a lot of hair and things on it, and we think she thought it might be like a leprechaun or something like that. So, and she said it would every time it would show up in her house, that she couldn't do anything, and it would have her, and this is the case, have her undress and walk out into the backyard, and where she had some tall stand of trees back there, wanted her to walk into the trees. So she wanted to know what to do about it. And this creature sounded more like a cryptid to me than like a leprechaun or something of that nature, because I've had those kind of cases too. And so I thought about it, but I seem to think that it could have been a troll. So I went on ahead and investigated this thing, and I went out to the house and looked around. I couldn't find any tracks or anything like that. And so I started walking around the tree line into the forest, and I started sensing something was there, but I couldn't see it. And that led me to believe that what I was trying to run down was kind of like a troll, but it could go in and out of dimensions. Because I've seen hints of it. I've seen, like, in the corner of my eye running around. It kind of looked like it looked like a little bitty person with a lot of hair on it. And as I walked through the forest trying to run this thing down, like I would think that I would be getting close to it, and it would disappear. And that would make me think that it had the power to run in and out of dimensions. So I'm thinking that case was like a troll that lived in a forest. And this thing, I don't know if it was, out to get the woman or do something to her or something like that. But I told her to, next time she sensed something in the house, I told her to go on ahead. And I did a little research on this thing, and these things seem to hate bells. And I told her to get her a bell. Every time she sensed something around, just to ring that bell every time she senses this thing. And I haven't heard anything else about her, about this creature. But that's what I thought was, maybe it could be a troll or an interdimensional creature of that nature.
So you do believe in trolls? Can you tell me? Because obviously, from my education and experience with trolls is zero. So please explain, what in the world are trolls? I mean, because it's hard for me to wrap my mind around that, just as it is maybe hard for some people to wrap their mind around people who are possessed. So explain that to us.
It's just a creature that has human, it walks upright, and it looks like an animal and a human. They kind of have different sizes. I mean, I've seen them. The one I was trailing was about 3 foot tall, and I believe they're interdimensional creatures. They come in and out of dimensions, and she had a portal there on the property someplace. Yeah, I believe in a lot of the legends, because I believe in leprechauns too, because I had a leprechaun case to where, of course, things were coming up missing in this person's house and outside, and I kind of figured it might have been a kid or something that was doing a sin, one of her kids and stuff. She didn't know, and she described this thing to me. I mean, it looked like. It sounded to me like it was just a little, like a midget type of thing, and a lot of people don't believe in leprechauns, but I do, because I've got Irish heritage too.
Yeah.
And of course I've had things like the Jersey Devil come across my caseload, and they wanted me to come to out there where this thing is always seen out there, to like the bottoms or whatever they call it. And I would tell people, as well as I do, James, I can't jump in a car and just take off.
Right.
I'm like you. I'm on a fixed income, and I don't have the money to go off in a lot of these cases, and I have to do it either over the phone and over the internet.
Okay, so let me just explain a few things, guys, because I think it's important to explain. Cryptids, they're creatures of folklore and legend, whose existence is unverified or disputed by mainstream science. So we have to be fair. So these elusive and mysterious beings, they are often reported to be living like in a remote or unexplored areas. And their sightings have been documented by eyewitness accounts, folklore, and occasionally, sometimes you have blurry photographs. Now, the term cryptid, it was popularized by the 1980 cryptozoologist John E. Wall from crypto, derived from crypto, meaning hidden, and zoology. So when we talk about cryptozoology, so zoology is the study of animals. So stories of cryptids have existed for centuries. We have to understand it for various cultures all around the world, and various cultures, various religions. These creatures have been part of local folklore and mythologies, and with descriptions that vary widely, from depending on the religion and the belief, etc. One of the most famous cryptids, of course, we know is the Loch Ness Monster, said to inhabit the deep waters of Loch Ness in Scotland. Sightings of this mysterious creature date back all the way in the 6th century, by the way, with the modern legend gaining widespread attention in the 1930s. We talked about the surgeon's photograph. Now, other well-known cryptids, Bigfoot or Sasquatch in North America, the Yeti in the Himalayas, the Chupacabra, Latin America. So all the other theories exist to explain the existence of cryptids. And they range obviously from misidentification of known animals to hoaxes, and even possibly the possibility of undiscovered species. Now, what's interesting is in recent years, advancements in technology and even scientific exploration have allowed for more extensive, well, thank you very much, Destiny, for extensive searches for cryptids, but conclusive evidence of their existence remains elusive. And despite this, the allure of cryptids continues to captivate, I think, the imagination of everybody. So let me ask you a couple questions, if you don't mind, Willie, for your experience with cryptids, and we'll go from there. How's that?
Okay.
So what is your approach? For those of you, again, who don't know Willie, Willie has been in the paranormal field for 50 years. He's been, he's well known. He's been on many, many television shows. He is a shaman. And he has worked he has such a vast collection. He has 2 books out, by the way. Will he tell everybody the books and where they can get them, first of all?
The Shaman Windwalker and Soul Warriors is on Amazon.com.
Yeah, guys, make sure you pick those up. Seriously, they are fantastic. So a lot of people always ask, have you written a book? Yes, he has. Pick those up. So I got to ask you, what is your approach to investigating reports of cryptids? Because cryptids is a debatable even subject. There's the people actually saying, oh, they don't even exist. What is your approach? Someone says to you, okay, Willie, I saw this ape like creature, and I think he's stalking my home. What do you do with that information?
Well, I've gotten a lot of calls about Bigfoot, James, and actually out here in West Point, just about 10 miles up the road from me, they have Bigfoot, hunters there, and they take people out on tours. They said Bigfoot has been seen there. You look at these pictures of Bigfoot and how shadow they are, and how blurry they are, right. And I personally think, as far as Bigfoot goes, they should be left alone, because I think they're like a tribal type of thing, and I also believe they have the ability to go in and out of dimensions too, and and I've been asked to go out and to sit in the woods, and I have been known to attract things like that, and they would want to put me out like as bait to see if they can get a Bigfoot to come up to me, and I won't do it. If I wanted to see Bigfoot, I probably could go there, go out into the woods and see Bigfoot, but I don't want to do it. That's as far as that goes. Native Americans revere these creatures, or and I'm the same way. I don't want to bother. If they don't bother me, I won't bother them. A lot of these cryptid things like the Jersey Devil and the Mothman and things like that. I mean, it's not like they just show up. I mean, it's just like it's almost like they come in and out of a dimensional type of thing, and you don't really, they don't come and to where they can just take a picture of one and hey, I got a picture of one. It's almost like they're elusive enough to where they don't want to actually be outed, I guess you would say. A lot of these creatures, like the reeker and all them. I mean, you might catch them on film by mistake, but you're not going to go out, especially to find something and try to take a picture of it. I mean, they do it with Bigfoot, but a lot of this evidence you got to take with a grain of salt, because a lot of these Bigfoot sightings, you can see them walking through the trees and things like that. I mean, I don't think they would like a clear shot of them.
Yeah.
The cryptids don't want. It's like Nessie. They have never got a real good picture of Nessie, other than a thing that looks like a log going in the water and up and down. It could be a giant eel for all we know, and it seems awful strange that they can't get a good picture of these cryptids. It's almost like they don't, if they don't want to be seen, you're not going to find them.
Yeah, for those of you just tuning in, talking to our buddy Willie Windwalker Gibson, and we're talking about cryptids tonight. But tonight, after I talk to Willie, I'll do a presentation on the Enfield Monster. So make sure if you've never heard about that, you want to stay tuned. It's going to be a pretty interesting presentation. But I wanted to talk to Willie first. That way he's not on hold for a whole hour and a half. So just get his perspective on cryptids. So, okay, so if they're interdimensional beings, let's just say for the sake of argument that cryptids are, all right? So why are they here then? I mean, if they're going to come here, then they got to know that humans are going to see them. And obviously we're curious. We're going to know what these creatures are. So I guess my question is if they are interdimensional beings and they do show up here, I mean, with all due respect, don't we have a right to know what they are? I mean, what is it? Why do they come here? If they have the ability to be interdimensional beings, what are they doing here? What is the point? And go ahead,
James. I think a lot of it is where the dimensions just cross over from time to time, and they go from, they could be walking in their dimension and accidentally come into ours. I think it's just accidental. Just like the Enfield Monster type of thing. I have gotten some calls about it a long time ago. I mean, a long time ago. We're talking 20 years, 30 years ago. And, from the description I got of it and all that, it could be a lot of different things. It could be interdimensional. It could be alien, or it could be a cryptid, from the description I got, and I've looked up some drawings of the thing. It looks more, and I believe it looks more alien than anything to me.
So how do you differentiate then between, I mean, when it comes to demonology, I pretty much, I can pretty much get an idea, okay, what seems credible and what seems like a big fat hoax or perhaps maybe misinterpretation. So the question then is, how do you differentiate between credible sightings of cryptids and hoaxes? Because I can teach about demonology, but I don't have a whole lot of knowledge and experience with cryptids. So how can you tell between a credible sighting versus one that's just a great big fat hoax?
I just interview the person, and if it's really, really out there, James, you got to take it with a grain of salt. And sometimes they would send me, drawings and grainy photos and things like that. And to me, it looks like it could be a setup. Unless I can actually go out and do check the area myself. That's how I do these things, because cryptids are like they're creatures that have not been identified by science. And I'm sure there's a lot of cryptids out there in the forest and under the oceans and things like that. But you really got to have a sense about somebody when they talk to you and give you a report on something.
So when you're out and you're investigating the paranormal, when you go out and let's say that there's a demonic case, of course you would bring your digital recorder, you bring your digital thermometer, you bring your EMF reader. There are things that you can, the REM pod, there are things that you can take with you to either validate the claims or debunk them. So what tools do you use besides obviously your sixth sense, your hearing, your knowledge? Is there anything that you would suggest if someone's going out to investigate the cryptids? Let's say they want to investigate Bigfoot. What tools is something? What tools should they take for the investigation?
Now, I had a team called the Soul Warriors. Of course, they're spread out all over the country now, and we kind of disbanded a little bit. I've had several teams of Soul Warriors, of which they were professional investigators, and they had all those tools. But when I first started in this field, I only had myself and my medicine bag, and of course Shaman was with me, and I just used me when I went out to investigate like a haunting or a possible demonic case. You know me, James. I don't go out looking for the demons like other people do. I don't do it, and the reason I don't, because from the last few months, the reason I have. To be honest with you, I have turned down a lot of cases since what happened to me happened. And just for the simple fact, I don't want to start stuff up again. I've got a lot of stuff going on here at the house, and Shaman is ill, and I do not want to bring anything back with me. That's why I'm kind of semi-retired, and I do a case that's usually online or over the phone. But that's how right now, that's how I approach a case, right? Like today. But back then I would use myself mostly I would go in, and if I was going to do a case, and this is back when I had the Soul Warriors, I would actually go and scout out what I was going to do, like a house or a property or something, because I did not want my Soul Warriors to walk into a case where their equipment would not help them. I mean, it might detect something, but if I run into a thing where I had to fight it, I didn't want my Soul Warriors to get caught up in it. So I would go out. I would actually scout the area out a couple of days before we would get there. I've had cases where houses were really, really active and had negative stuff in there, and I would go and do the initial interview and feel the place out before I would even take the Soul Warriors in there with the other equipment.
So, have you ever had an encounter with a cryptid? And again, for those of you who are just joining us, talking to Willie Windwalker Gibson, he's a shaman, a buddy of mine, known him for a long, long time, been in the paranormal for 50 years. Have you ever had an encounter with a cryptid that actually frightened you?
No, I haven't, James. To be honest with you, I think the cryptid was more frightened to me than I was of it. I mean, a lot of these creatures you don't see, but they're there. You might catch a glimpse of them, or, just like Bigfoot, you might catch a glimpse of Bigfoot, or you might catch a glimpse of, little creatures running around, or just like the troll, I caught a little glimpse of that. But they're mostly want to be kept by themselves, kept out of sight. No, I've not actually been afraid of anything. Even when the Jersey Devil case came up and they described this thing to me, of course I couldn't go there, but my advice to them would to leave this thing alone and let it go about its business. As long as it's not attacking you or anything like that, leave it alone. Let it go back into its habitat.
I think that would be kind of scary. See, that's one thing about, people who go out and investigate Bigfoot. See, the fear that I have is not so much coming across a real Bigfoot. I am skeptical. I'm open-minded because a lot of people have told me they've experienced Bigfoot, they've witnessed, they've seen it, they know Bigfoot exists. So I'm open-minded to I've never experienced it. I've never seen Bigfoot, at least that I can say, yep, that's a Bigfoot. So I think I'm more frightened when you go out and investigate Bigfoot in bears. In wildlife, that to me is far more frightening because that is legitimate fear. I mean, you go out and you're running around, at night, and you have your little flashlight and you hear growls. Well, that might not be Bigfoot growling. That might be a bear telling you you're getting too close, or a mountain lion. I mean, that's some serious danger. So, I guess the question that I have for you then is, how do you, when you were doing this back in the day and you were out there and investigating these things, how did you ensure that the safety of yourself and the team when you investigated cryptids like in a remote or potentially dangerous location, like in a wooded area where there were animals?
James, I went out into an area one time and we were doing a television show. And when you're doing a television show, especially if you're out in the woods or out in the field or something, you're not by yourself. You've got a director, you've got camera people, you've sound people, you've got a personal assistant. they're usually behind you. Okay, and I tell them, be careful when we go in here now. It's dangerous. They're out here for the thrill and the show and all this. I said, I'm telling you, you're going to get hurt if you don't listen to me. You just go on and we get this on film and everything. Well, I carry my staff everywhere with me when I'm in the field. And there's a reason for that. A lot of the staff has a lot of energy on it and a lot of prayers and everything on it, but it's also be used for other things like walking, and I would take, when I would go out and especially it's pitch dark out, we got very little lighting. I'm inching along with my stick because I don't want to fall off a cliff or in a hole or something. And these people are running around having fun. And there's one case I was doing that and they said, can you speed it up? I said, no, I'm not going to speed it up. And I would walk around and I know I was going to be okay. And I could hear people falling behind me, tripping and falling, camera equipment sideways. The director fell over a log and stuff like that. And I just stood still. I said, everybody just be still and listen to me. We're not going to move fast. We're in an area we do not know what's in front of us. And just listen to me, walk where I walk, and my stick would lead me and the crew out into a safe area. But they would get out there, James, and, it's just for the sake of the show, and it's pitch black, and I'm afraid I'm going to fall and break my neck or break my leg. You get out there and you get hurt in an area like that, you fall and break a leg, you're in trouble because it's pitch black.
Right.
They don't know where they're at, and they won't know what to do other than, stand there until the sun comes up and you're laying there, in pain. That's what I ease, and I tell them, if you go down, you're going to be in trouble. I just let them find it out for themselves. So I pulled a lot of camera caves, going into caves. I tell them the same thing. Be careful. You don't know what you're going to run into. And I'm inching along with my staff to make sure what's ahead of me is not, you don't run across a snake or,
right.
You could pitch black like that. You don't know what kind of animal you're going to run into. So I've used my stick as a weapon. I've used it, to get my things out, get us out of different areas and, safely. But, it's just, I'm more concerned about my safety when I go into these areas than being scared,
Sure. Well, yeah. And Francis and Maria, I was thinking the same thing about rattlesnakes, especially you running around and, in the woods. I mean, there are snakes and they get bit. You're in big, big trouble. Let me ask you this. A lot of people will say, well, there's really never any real compelling evidence. I mean, there are people who have blurry cameras or that, it's fascinating how they always take cameras, the pictures, and they're always blurry. I mean, we are in a very modern technological advanced age in cameras, for God's sakes. They shouldn't be blurry. Of course, now some of them, I understand their arguments. Well, I didn't have time. I, took it as fast as I could. Okay, I got it. So in your opinion, what is the most compelling evidence that you have come across to support the existence of any particular cryptid? It doesn't matter what it is, whichever cryptid. Is there any compelling evidence that you have personally come across that says, yep, this conclusively provides, I think, enough evidence for me to say, not only do I think I know because I have the evidence?
James, this is the God's honest truth. I have not found any evidence other than my own eyesight, seeing things out of my peripheral vision and stuff like that. I have not found a dead body. I have not found anything that proves that there's something there other than, now I believe in cryptids, but I have never found a bone or, scat or anything like that will prove these things a bit. And people, that what gets me, James, you watch these Bigfoot shows and they got all these night vision cameras and all that going on, and they can look through the woods and capture. They've never caught anything.
Yeah.
A clear picture of anything other than night vision, and it could be anything walking through the woods with a heat signature. And there was just one, some of these shows are on 4 or 5 years and they haven't found one piece of good evidence that they could show people that, look, see this clear picture of Bigfoot, and he's waving. You know, they don't have it.
So, but
You know,
okay, that's the thing. Then that's the problem. That's why so many people say that this whole Bigfoot, all these cryptids, because there's no concrete evidence that would support that Bigfoot. Because quite honestly, we just haven't found any Bigfoot creating rockets that can go up to space. So the question then would be how intelligent are these beings? Now people say, well, they're very intelligent. Okay, yeah, but they're not doing brain surgery. They're not doing heart surgery. They're not creating rockets to go into space. So obviously, you know, we can argue as far as their intelligence. So it's like, okay, think about for a moment. We can put rockets into space, but we can't take a picture of a 8-foot ape-looking creature that walks on 2 legs. And you see that's the problem. That's the issue, is that we're able to do all these amazing things. We heart surgery, for goodness sakes, and yet we can't even capture a picture of an ape walking around who's 8 feet tall. Let me ask you, has there ever, when you're out investigating Bigfoot, have you ever saw footprints where you're like, that 1,000,000% is Bigfoot?
No, I haven't, James, and that's the truth. That's the truth.
So, but the footprints are going to be there.
These creatures are in their habitat. I mean, they could be right next to you. You not know it. You know, they could be smart in that realm, and they probably are interdimensional. They give off some kind of a force field or something that, you know, they say that, you know, they can be right in front of you and you wouldn't see them. And I kind of believe that, but like I said, it's all these years. You know, I mean, you seen that one film of taken 50 years ago, that one Bigfoot walking across.
Yeah.
That's the only really, you know, halfway decent one, but you haven't seen anything since then. You know, you've got the Bigfoot shows. All they got is infrared of a creature a mile away. You know, I've worked on shows that they even have drones that goes up, and there's aerial shots. You know, I've worked with that kind of stuff before, and they haven't really gotten anything with those.
So, okay, so it does seem like the evidence, it seems like most evidence is basically coming from personal experience. And as far as concrete evidence, like, okay, that is a clear video, 100% of a Bigfoot. We know it. That's indisputable. We don't have anything like that. We don't have. So is it fair then people who say this whole Bigfoot or all cryptids is just I guess, it's imagination kind of gone wild, or perhaps misinterpretation or misidentification? Is that a valid argument then?
James, I really, you know, being Native American, I really do believe there's cryptids out there. I really do. But you know, they're smart enough to keep out of sight enough to where you really can't prove they're there, other than you just happen to catch eyesight of one. But if you go running up to the area where you see it at, there's no footprints, there's nothing, other than what your eyes caught. But I really do believe there's cryptids out there. That's because of my Native American background, but a lot of people believe in cryptids too. I believe there's a Nessie out there, but you would think one good shot of, if they got a head coming up out of the water, or, all these films of Nessie, all it is like a giant snake, I think, or an eel in the water. That's about all that you can really say that is. I would love to see a dinosaur head come up, and that plesiosaurus or whatever they call it, and show it all over the world. But these creatures, these cryptids, I mean, they've got a knowledge about them that they can keep out of the way to where you can't really prove they're there.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Did you want to you're more than welcome to stay here while I do a presentation about a half an hour or so on the Enfield Monster. We can talk about it, or if you want to say goodnight, we can say goodnight. It's entirely up to you.
I'll hang around for a few minutes, James, because I've gotten a few things about the Enfield monster, that came to me, and I came up to my own conclusion about it, but I'm not going to say anything right now. You go do your thing.
All right, so hang tight with me, and then we'll do this. So let me turn your volume down, and here is the Enfield Monster presentation. The Enfield Monster, it really is, it's truly is shrouded in myth and mystery. It's captured the imagination of locals, researchers, and enthusiasts alike. And as we're going to delve into the depths of this cryptid's legend, we're going to examine the earliest documented sightings, the characteristic ascribed to this creature, and its place in culture and folklore. So throughout this time, we're going to navigate through historical context of the Enfield, Illinois area, dissect eyewitness accounts, analyze the creature's portrayal in popular culture, and contemplate the broader implications of this whole phenomenon. So let's get into this Enfield Monster that a lot of people may not know it. So what is the Enfield Monster? Well, let's talk about that. The Enfield Monster is a cryptid, a creature basically whose existence is suggested by alleged but unsubstantiated evidence. So the Enfield Monster specifically gained notoriety due to a series of reported sightings in the small town of Enfield, Illinois, hence the name Enfield Monster, in the early 1970s. Now, the descriptions of the Enfield Monster typically portray it as a large, hairy, ape-like creature standing around 7 feet tall and emitting a piercing, high-pitched sound. So the creature was first sighted by Henry McDaniel and his family in April of 1973, who reported that it attempted to attack their home. And according to the accounts, the creature had 3 legs, a short body, 2 pink eyes the size of flashlights, and a coating of gray hair, among other features. Subsequent sightings, by the way, and reports from other residents in the area added to the mystery and lore surrounding this monster. The Enfield Monster sightings generated widespread interest, prompting even law enforcement officers, the media, and curious onlookers, of course, to investigate this phenomenon. So the creature's reported appearance and behavior led to varied interpretations, with some speculating that it was an unknown species of animal, while others viewed it as a product of just folklore or misidentification. Now, despite extensive attention and investigation at the time, the Enfield Monster remains an unsolved mystery, and its existence has not been conclusively proven, so we have to be fair. However, the legend of the Enfield Monster persists in local folklore and popular culture, cryptozoological discussions. So the Enfield Monster's enigmatic nature and the enduring interest in its legend have cemented its place, I think, in the realms of cryptids. So let's talk about the origins and the historical context, because it's important. The origins and the historical context of the Enfield Monster, they're closely tied to the small town of Enfield, Illinois, and the series that's reported, the reported sightings that captured the public's imagination in the early 70s. For those of you who don't know, Enfield is a rural community in White County, Illinois. It has a rich historical background rooted in agriculture, local industry, and it's a very close-knit community. So the town's serene atmosphere and proximity to natural landscapes provided the backdrop for the emergence of the Enfield Monster legend. The earliest documented sighting of this monster, again, in April 1973, Henry McDaniel, he was a local resident, and he saw this creature. The Enfield Monster allegedly attempted, again, to attack his home, and everybody started talking about it. Everybody was afraid. They were legitimately afraid because they didn't know it was this somebody in a costume terrifying people. Was this a legitimate creature that they didn't know what it was? And then sightings quickly garnered media attention. So journalists, investigators, even onlookers were going to this place and finding out what in the world is going on here. And local law enforcement, actually, and even relevant authorities became involved to attempt to investigate this phenomenon and reassure the community everything is okay. So, I mean, this really sparked a widespread panic. And it had the backdrop of a social and cultural change, obviously, undoubtedly influenced the reception and even interpretation of this monster. Remember, the era in 1970s was marked by growing interest in unexplained phenomena and cryptids, the paranormal. So it reflected in popular culture and media portrayals of mysterious creatures. So the Enfield Monster's emergence occurred within the broader context of the cryptid lore. So its reported sightings and subsequent impact on the local community, it exemplify the intersection of folklore and local legend. And the historical context and even the local setting of Enfield provide a rich backdrop for understanding the emergence of this legend. People still go there even today to investigate this thing. And as I talked about, in April 1973, Henry McDaniel, he was terrified. And his testimony described a series, not just a one-time event, but a series of disturbing events that in their rural home, that unfolded in their rural home. So he and his family, actually, he says they were startled by strange noises outside their residence in the dead of night. Investigating the source of the commotion, McDaniel claimed to have witnessed an inexplicable creature lurking nearby his property. So he says he saw it clearly with his own eyes. And this monster would be known as the Enfield Monster, a towering ape-like entity. McDaniel recounted that the creature emitted a high-pitched, piercing sound and actually displayed, thank you there, Alessia, and displayed aggressive behavior, prompting fear and even concern among the witnesses. That's why they were fearful. So McDaniel's description of this monster included distinctive features. As I mentioned, he said it had 3 legs, short, stocky body, 2 pink eyes, and a coat of gray hair. Now, these details, along with the creature's reported attempt to break into the family's home, obviously contributed to the sense of alarm in this area. And after that initial encounter, McDaniel's family report of the Enfield Monster's aggressive behavior and unorthodox appearance quickly captured the attention of law enforcement, and they got involved. So the first sightings, as I mentioned, it's rooted in McDaniel's family experience, marked the beginning of a series of reported encounters. So that they weren't the only ones that actually saw this creature. And the compelling nature of the initial sighting, coupled with the detailed description by Henry McDaniel, laid the groundwork for the Enfield Monster's emergence as a captivating enigma. I mean, he was able to be very specific, very detailed in this creature. So this wasn't a creature that he was like, what is that? I can't really see it. He absolutely, 100%, he was very, very convinced that he saw this. And other people, even eyewitnesses and individuals who claim to have encountered the creature as well, contributed to this, to the enduring intrigue. And these accounts have collectively shaped the prevailing image of this cryptid and even influenced its portrayal in popular culture. The eyewitness testimonies, by the way, and reported sightings have provided a general depiction of the Enfield Monster. Now, other people say that he looked like a large ape-like or humanoid creature. Some people say he stood 7 feet tall, and other specific details have varied across the counts, you know. But it's interesting. Many people who've seen this thing have pretty much all described it as tall. And when you look at all the descriptions, it's about 7 feet, towering over the witnesses, and had this formidable, well, thank you, Elsa, formidable presence. Now, most of the people who described this creature said that it portrayed as a robust and muscular, contributing to its intimidating stature. The limbs, the reports have mentioned the creature having 3 legs. That's interesting. The eyes, obviously, all of them reports glowing or luminescent eyes. There's some reports have said it was pink. There were some reports that said it was red. But nonetheless, every single one of them have claimed that they had this glowing eyes. Now, some reported to have a coat. This creature had a coat of gray or dark fur covering its body, giving it as distinctly animalistic or a primal feature. And witnesses also have described the texture of the creature's hair as unkempt. Obviously, it's going to be dirty, natted, perhaps coarse, sometimes matted. And the vocalization. Now, witnesses have recounted the Enfield Monster as a high-pitched sound. Several reports have said it was high-pitched. And they described it as eerie or unsettling, distinct from typical animal vocalizations. A lot of them have said that it was aggressive. So some accounts have depicted the creature as displaying aggressive behavior, including attempted to approach or even attack individuals or homes, as in the case of the initial sighting that was reported by Henry McDaniel. So the creature's distinctive features, coupled with the compelling nature of eyewitnesses' accounts, have fueled ongoing discussions and investigations. So the reported sightings of this monster, when you talk about local authorities having to get involved, and they actually went out to these woods, to this wooded area where this creature was, and there was a huge investigation to determine if this was even legitimate. As I mentioned, local law enforcement and officials got involved. They responded to the reporting sightings by conducting inquiries and patrols, because people were so terrified, because there were more than one people that were reporting seeing this creature. And obviously the community got heavily involved, and they helped also with the pursuit or searching for this creature. Researchers, enthusiasts got involved, people who study cryptozoology, and the media coverage. The widespread attention garnered by the Enfield Monster led to extensive media coverage. There were news outlets, journalists documented the reporting sightings, conducting interviews. There were so many. And even pseudoscientific perspectives got into play. So some investigations involved individuals with expertise, like such as zoology or wildlife biology, who wanted to analyze the reported characteristics and try to figure out what this creature was. But despite all this, all the concerted efforts to understand the reported sightings, the Enfield Monster, even today, has remained steeped in mystery. Now, in popular culture, there's a lot of influence, certainly, in film and literature. The Enfield Monster is also known as the Enfield Horror. It is in Enfield, Illinois. And that's the problem, because some people even describe this creature as 4 to 5 feet tall, with grayish skin, 3 legs, short claws, and red eyes. To me, honestly, when I read that, it sounds like a kangaroo. That's what it sounds like. It would be very easy to misidentify a creature. I don't know how big kangaroos get or how tall they get, but they certainly are. Many are very muscular in their feature. But I would think that anybody could look at a kangaroo and say, "Yep, that's a kangaroo." But I can, people say, "Well, it's a kangaroo because of the 3 legs." Well, obviously, it doesn't have 3 legs; it has a long tail. There's been a lot of books and literature on the Enfield Monster, and we see that you can go online and look at it, even television. It's been the subject of television shows, documentaries. Matter of fact, it was even featured on the episodes of Monster Quest and In Search Of. And while the Enfield Monster has not been the central focus of like a motion major picture, big time, picture, it has likely been referenced to certainly independent or low budget films. And even music. Some musicians and bands have been inspired by cryptids like the Enfield Monster and reference them in songs. There are a lot of podcasts and even shows like this talk about this creature. So the question is, what is this, a hoax or is this reality? Well, since the sighting in 1973, there's been a lot of debate on this. And even today, people still debate. And some regarding the reports as total hoaxes, total hoax. But others consider the possibility that something genuinely unexplained occurred. But the problem is it's never been resolved. Now, several individuals claim to have seen this monster in this 1973 sighting, and their accounts varied. But many described a similar creature. 3 legs, red eyes, generally humanoid in appearance, and the sincerity and consistency of these witnesses have been scrutinized by skeptics, but they have been pretty consistent. And obviously, there's a lack of physical evidence, and that's the problem, isn't it? So despite all the eyewitness reports, there is no tangible evidence of the Enfield monster was ever found. Nothing. There's no clear footprints, photographs, nothing. Now let's talk about possible explanations. And by the way, after this presentation is over, I'm going to talk to you about what we're going to talk about next week. And that's going to be a very interesting topic. We'll talk about that in just a second. So let's talk about the possible explanations of the Enfield monster. Skeptics, they offered various potential explanations for the sightings, including misidentification of known animals, hoaxes even. They said it's a big fat hoax, or even mass hysteria. Others have suggested that the creature could have been a cryptid. Oh,
ended.
Oh, I must have lost Willie Windwalker. Let me get Willie Windwalker back on. He might have had to go. Let's see. We'll see. We'll see. His wife is not doing so great. Hello, Willie?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we lost you there. I just didn't know if you had to go because I know that Shaman's not doing the greatest. So are you still okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go, James.
Oh, I understand, buddy. I understand. Well, thank you for being with us. We appreciate that.
Okay.
All right, take care.
All right.
Willie, God love him. He is he takes care of his wife Shaman, and she's got a lot of health issues. So certainly, if you would keep them in your prayers, so because they certainly need the prayers. So there's been a lot of people who said this is just mass hysteria, that this is nothing, that this is all just nonsense, and even folklore. Regardless of the truth of these sightings, the Enfield monster has become part of the folklore, local folklore. And due to the lack of conclusive evidence and the passage of time, it's challenging to definitively determine whether the Enfield monster was a hoax or something genuine. When we talk about the Enfield monster, it is really bizarre. There were multiple sightings. There was a lot of media coverage. It affected the community. It is now placed on a cryptid status. There certainly is a lot of skepticism and speculation about what this creature is. But I think, like many cryptids and creatures from cultural mythology, the Enfield monster is now into the folklore, and no one can take that away. What this was, I just simply don't know. I don't know. Now, there are people who look at this from a psychological and anthropological insights. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the psychological and anthropological explanation to this phenomenon, because we have to be fair. First, human imagination takes a toll here. The Enfield monster phenomenon illustrates how human imagination plays a pivotal role in the creation and the perpetuation of cryptids. When you're talking about the Enfield monster, folklore and local legend also takes control here. So these creatures can become source of cultural identity. And so when you're looking at the Enfield monster, and by the way, if any of you have ever had experience with this, let me know, because I would be really, really curious. But in essence, the cryptid phenomenon, and as exemplified by the Enfield monster, showcases the dynamic interplay between human imagination, folklore, scientific inquiry, and cultural impact. For the people who saw it, it was very real to them. So here's the $1 million question. What now? Is that it? 1973? No, there's actually continued interest. So the Enfield monster remains a subject of interest for cryptozoologists, paranormal enthusiasts, and people actually still go to Enfield, Illinois to try to find this and investigate in the woods in this creature. So even today, people claim that they go out and investigate, and they hear these sightings, they hear these noises, they see something on thermo, but they can't explain it. And there's a lot of things, but I think personally, and this is just my opinion, I think when you're dealing with the Enfield monster, you're probably dealing with, a misidentification. It makes sense to me that this could have been a kangaroo, Perhaps maybe someone had it as a pet. It got loose. That's what makes sense to me. And it also could be a hoax, but I don't think so. Because this seems people were really, really convinced this was real. And there were psychological factors too. I mean, when you're talking about this creature, this unknown creature stalking the neighborhood and trying to break into your home, well, that already creates a psychological factor there. But there's also natural explanations. Like environmental factors, like unusual weather events, wildlife behavior, other natural occurrences, mass hysteria, I think probably played a huge role in this. Because it did create a mass hysteria because people were legitimately afraid. And I understand that. But in my opinion, I think it was probably a creature that was misidentified. And I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't give much credence to the belief of the Enfield Monster. Some people do. But I'd be kind of curious if you guys have had that experience. If you have you seen this creature? Let me know. I would love to know that. I'm going to turn the comments on for everybody on TikTok. Let's just see how that goes. I'm sure I'll be turning that back off. But there have been a lot of reports that, well, thank you very much, Lynn. Thank you. There have been a lot of reports that people have come across these cryptids. And I want to share some of the stories where people have said that they've experienced these things. And you can believe them if you want to. It's entirely up to you. Nonetheless, I want to share this with you. This is by Stephen Wagner. There's a creature called the cornfield creature. That's what it is. The cornfield creature. Listen. And this is this person who's experienced, who said that he saw this. I used to work at a cheese factory on the edge of a cornfield in southwestern Minnesota. And there were a series of days in the summer of 2004 or 5 where it was so hot that the milk being delivered to us in trucks would evaporate before we got it. It made work easy. The dearth of milk denied us any actual labor, but management would not let us not come to work, so we'd show up, mess around all the shift. He says, I was working nights at the time. It was 2 or 3 a.m., and I was out on the loading dock and watching bats fly around the floodlights because I liked being out in the night cool air. The corn was about as high as my shoulder, so about 5'10". As I was watching the bats, I looked down at the edge of the cornfield. Something was moving there. It was the size of a small child, a very, very skinny, pale with something that looked like a head of straight black hair. It moved in a sort of jerky gait, like someone dancing like a robot badly. It moved in chunks, legs, then hips, then torso, shoulders, neck, and finally head. It was looking back into the cornfield, or at least I felt like it was. I felt strange all over. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was something. It was something, but it looked too much like a person. It didn't move like a person, though, and gradually, step by step, it moved toward me, letting my curiosity better my fear. I moved toward the edge of the dock, which was raised a few feet high above the ground. And when I got within a few feet of the edge, the thing looked right at me. I was paralyzed. I could have run, but I was stuck somewhere between terrified and intrigued. It moved. Its face still pointed at me. It ratcheted, stretched its body. That was very disconcerting. Jerky movement towards the cornfield and went into it. I tried to watch where the field moved as it passed, but the corn remained perfectly still. I noticed that all the crickets were silent. And after a few minutes, nothing happened. I stood out there for an hour, but it never came back. I never saw it again. I don't know. Who knows what that could have been? But that's considered a cryptid. Don't know what it is. This one is by Joanna H. And this is her experience with a forest cryptid. She said, my strange story took place back on the 26th of September, 2009. My church was on a retreat in Indiana in a forest. The place we stayed at was a small building in the center of the forest. We decided that evening to go out and play in the forest with the children, so we came up with a game to play. It was like police. The kids were the police, and we would pick an adult to be the hostage. So when we began the game, we had to find the adult hiding in the forest in the middle of the night. Well, that sounds like a fun time for kids. So we started going around the back of the building and we spotted a tall figure. It had to be at least 6 feet tall. It was running toward the trees where there was a small open area with tall grass that goes up to your knees. It ran with its arms at its sides, but it stopped at the edge of the tall grass as if to wait for us to get closer. And we chased after it thinking it was an adult. And when we were finally within a few yards away, it drove into the grass and started to crawl very fast. Well, that's when you probably need to take the kids out of the forest. Just saying. I mean, you got a 6-foot man or something running around the forest. Now he's crawling very fast. It's probably not a good idea to take the kids in the forest at night in the first place. They could fall. Anyway, okay. So this thing is slithering around all over the grass. We're like, well, this is fun. Okay. Anyway, it ran with its. So anyway, after we chased it, thinking it was an adult, we finally were a few yards away. It drove into the grass, started to crawl very fast, almost snake-like. We got weirded out. You don't think so, but stood there staring at it. And when it got across the tall grass, it began to climb a tree. Oh, wonderful! And it looked somewhat like a deformed cat-like animal when it was climbing. And then a few moments later, a kid yelled, "I see him!" Was pointing in an opposite direction. We saw a similar figure running a couple of yards away, so we chased it. But then it vanished behind a tree. Turns out a few minutes later, we found the adult hiding in the parking lot in the front of the building the whole time. So who knows what we saw in the night forest? Yeah, you probably, at least 15 kids saw the thing with me. Oh, great. So now they're going to have PTSD. So I know I'm not crazy. Well, you're taking kids in the middle of in the woods. They're seeing some 6-foot creature crawl around the grass like it's a snake and now climbing onto a tree. And you're thinking, well, wasn't that fun? Yippee-de-doo. S'mores, anybody? Why would you do that? All right. Anyway, this is from Helen J. Helen J, everybody. A prime hook swamp creature. Okay, so I was driving on Broadkill Road in Broadkill Beach, Delaware, around dusk in July 2007. The road borders a swamp area. Standing on the side of the road by the swamp, my daughter and I saw a creature like we've never seen before. It stood about 2.5, 3 feet tall with long legs. Well, it can't be that long. It's only 3 feet tall. A tan body, a flat, almost puggish face, and a long tail. It had small ears and looked to be about 30 pounds. My other daughter and her friend also saw the same animal the year before around the same area, except it was night and it ran in front of the car. I asked the lady who owned the Broadkill to Beach store about it, and she said she had seen it once when it was dirt biking with her dad in the areas before, and both her and her dad had no idea what it was, even though they were raised around the area. She said we were lucky to have spotted it. Very few people have seen it, and says went to the Prime Hook Reserve, and this is what the swamp area is called, the museum, and they had no idea what it could be. I'm wondering if anyone else had seen it and what the heck it was. I don't know. Well, I agree. Ouija boards are bad. James Monster sounds like an alien. Yeah. So, Willie, are you okay, buddy? Hopefully you're doing all right. Willie's on Facebook, so hopefully everything's good. We'll do a few more, and then we're going to wrap this one up. And I'm going to talk about, oh, yeah, I have a lot of haunted items that I'll be talking about. Listen to this one. The moth, and I'm going to show it. I'm going to show this. I'm going to show the thing today. The Necronomicon, the book. I'll show that in just a second. The Mothman says, now, I don't know if I saw the Mothman or not. Let me just tell you because we're tight on time here. Yeah, just a second though. So here's the deal. Guys, listen to this. I don't know what this was. I would love to know what it was. So if someone can tell me, because I have this has bothered me ever since I saw this creature. And I don't know what in the world it was. I've talked about it before. I did the presentation on this when I did the Gates of Hell Cemetery. And I even talked to Willie Windwalker about this. I'm trying to find some royalty-free There we go. Royalty-free Facebook and YouTube. You have to do that. Otherwise you get in trouble. So at the Gates of Hell Cemetery, it was me and 3 other people were there. And we were in the very back at this cemetery. And it was around midnight. And it's one path in, the same path out. And there's like a horseshoe fence around it. So guys, I'll tell you, hold on. So I'm not going to answer questions right now because I'm telling a story. So hang tight with me. So it was in the very back. It's an old abandoned cemetery. As a matter of fact, nobody even knew that cemetery existed. And I didn't even, I've been in Kentucky all my life. And so families actually contacted us because bad things happen in that cemetery that people shouldn't do, desecrate the area. And so people had loved ones buried there, and they asked if I would be willing to go there and bless it. And we said, sure. And we went there and investigated, and all hell broke loose. And the next day we went on radio, and I was like, man, this is like the Gates of Hell. And that's how it got its name, the Gates of Hell. And this was 20 something years ago. So this place, crazy. It's in Kentucky. Don't go there, by the way. Do not. I will not go at night. This is one place I will not go. Not at nighttime. It is a different world. It is a different world altogether. So that's how it's got its name. No one even. I was back in the paranormal community before Facebook and MySpace and all that stuff even existed. We communicated to Yahoo groups, and so I remember asking everybody, "Have you ever heard of this cemetery?" No one knew what it was because it's kind of off the beaten path. And so we went there one night. It was around midnight, and it was in the middle of summer, and there was tall trees around it. And we started seeing shadow people dart behind the tree, and it looked like they were trying to close us in. And the crickets stopped. Everything stopped. Middle of summer. And the trees, the top of the trees started swaying back and forth, but we felt no wind where we were, nothing. But I mean, it was dead silent. I mean, everything it was so eerie. And we seeing all these shadow people. Originally, we thought it was the locals trying to scare us because it started out like with 2 or 3. And then it kept going more and more, and it was surrounding us. And we really thought we were being closed in. So we were like, you know what, well, because here's why I went there at night. We were told that particular time there would be people that was supposed to show up to do satanic rituals. There was, as a matter of fact, there was a satanic altar there that I tore down, and I actually took several of the items. And I'll talk about that one day in one of the series that I do on TikTok on haunted items. But so we were expecting someone to be there to desecrate. So we were like, and law enforcement knew we were going to there. So they knew that we were there. And so, but no one showed up. But everything was just quiet. I mean, and so we were like, no, it's time to go. So we went out to the front, and like I said, there's one way in, one way out. And we had our backs facing that tree, the tree at the very entrance. And one of the investigators was looking towards it. And this was back, it kind of tells you how long it was. It was back in the days where, the flashlights took big batteries, these big, D batteries, C that, not these charging things they have now. These, and we could hear the rattle. We could hear it. And so he was rattling. He was terrified. And we looked at him. We looked at the holding light. He was shaking. We turned around. This was a clear summer night. Full moon right behind this tree. This tree, the light on from the moon was shining through this tree. What this creature was, I don't know. It drives me crazy because I can't define it. And it bothers me to this day. This was a long time ago. 20 years ago, it still bothers me because I don't know what it was. It looked to me like a giant bat. That's what it looked like. Very long torso. We saw the claws. They were very clear. I mean, the claws, we could see it was on the branch. The wings, it had wings spread out. It basically covered the entire tree from branch to branch. We saw the eyes looking right at us. It made no noise. It was glowing red eyes looking right at us, and we knew that if we stepped 1 foot closer, that was it. We just knew it, and we were like, "It's time." No, we were gone. We were out of there. I mean, that was terrifying. No. This was not an angel. It wasn't. I didn't get the feeling of a demon because I've been in the presence of someone possessed. I got, to me, it just felt like, I don't know, like it was almost like it was protecting the place, just letting us know that's enough. For whatever reason, I don't know. And some people say Mothman, because what I experienced, and not only I, but also the 3 people that were with me, Bishop David Price was there as well. We don't know what this thing was. I can't define it. I don't know what it was. I would, honestly, and I've said this before, I would take a lie detector test live on the air right now because I know what I saw. I just don't know what it was. And so for me, I like to define it. You know what I mean? If I see something, I wanted to, what is it? Still to this day, people say Mothman, people say, I don't know. Don't know. But we knew that it wasn't, we never felt like it was going to attack us, but we did feel that if we went closer, then we could get hurt. That's the experience. That's what we all felt. It was just letting us know, back away, leave. That's enough. And that was terrifying. It did not move. No, it did not move. It didn't make any noise. The only thing we saw is this claws. This claws on the feet. We saw it move just a little bit. That was it. The wings were spread out. It looked like a giant 10-foot bat with a long torso. We had a flashlight shining right on the sucker. I mean, we saw it as clear as day. But I don't know. No cars. We did not. And I don't know if I would have done that because this thing, whatever it was, I don't know. It was just weird. It was there was Bishop David says about 10 feet tall. I guess he's probably about right, maybe 8 to 10 feet tall. It was pretty. As a matter of fact, you can watch this if you go to my YouTube channel and go to bishopjameslong.com, scroll down to where it says social media links and click on the YouTube link and then click on the videos, and it's Gates of Hell Cemetery. And you can actually see the tree. I tell you what happened, so you can actually get a visual. But it covered the entire tree. So I don't know. Yeah, that's right, William. So, and also when I took my, when I got home, I was obviously startled by that. And when I got home, I had 2 dogs, Kylie and Fuzzy. They were both schnauzers. And so I took my dog Kylie out. She's a little toy schnauzer. She was a toy schnauzer. She's in heaven now. And right across the house, right across the street from my house, there is like a big, huge open field. And there's bushes right across the street. So the street, it's like an offshoot. It's kind of not on a main street. And I took my dog, Kylie. This was pretty late, 1 o'clock or so in the morning when I finally got home. And Kylie was doing her business. And I felt something just not comfortable that night. I didn't feel good. And probably, obviously, because of my experience with that growl or that seeing this thing. But I heard a growl that I've heard growls before. I've heard screams before. This growl was, now this was predatorial. This was predator. I have heard lion growls before. I've even heard bears kind of. This growl, I've said this before, and it was probably be about maybe 15, maybe 20 feet away from me, this growl that I heard. but it was like someone putting a Bose, one of those great big huge Bose. Because if you know anything about Bose, then you know they are, in my opinion, they are the best of the best, the cream of the crop speakers. But it's like if you were to put up the Bose speaker, the bass all the way, and put it on your back and put up a growl, I felt the growl in the chambers. I could feel it. It resonated inside. I mean, I grabbed my dog and said, "Nope, let's go. We're done. I'm sorry if you're not finished. We got to go." It was a definite a warning growl. I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was. Something could have followed me home. Oh yeah, my dog heard it. Kylie she froze. She froze. I mean, she was, doing her business. She froze, looked right over there, and I grabbed her and said, "We're going." I'm sorry, because I didn't know what this sucker was. This was a deep, remember, this was 15, 20 feet away from me. And this was it felt like someone putting a huge speaker right on my back and turning the bass up and turning that growl up as loud as it could. And that's how, oh gosh, that's been a while. Gosh, how long ago was that? I want to say maybe 15 years ago or so. It's been a while. But yeah, that was, well, because there are children, there are kids that are buried in the graveyard. Yeah, it was definitely a predator. It sounded like a predator. I've heard lions go, that roar. Think bigger. If you've ever heard a lion roar, I mean, it's really deep. Think bigger than that. This was much bigger than that. And we don't have, we don't have those type of lions here in Kentucky. Could I draw it? I can tell you what it looked. I can absolutely 1,000,000% tell you what it looked like. 100%, no doubt about it. Very clear. I could even see the muscles in the torso. It was that clear. We had a flashlight right on it, so you could see the stomach, the torso area. Like it was very defined, well defined, even to the point where I would define it as abs. I mean, it was that clear. It was darker, grayish, hairish all around it. It looked like a big, huge bat. That's what this thing looked like. Think of a 10-foot bat with massive claws and red glowing eyes with a long torso, a long human-looking torso. That's what it looked like to me. Well, I don't know. And there was 3 other people who witnessed this. And that's the thing. That's the. I talked to Bishop David about this the other day. Well, when we talked about this, and he has. It looked to me. It looked like it looked like a bat. That's what it looked like. Nope, no horns. See the ears. It looked like a 10-foot bat. That's it. That's all I can. That's the way it looked. Long torso, muscular features. We all saw it. Get a picture. We didn't even want to move. We were so terrified. We didn't want to do anything to irritate or cross the line. We didn't know. No, it didn't feel like that type of evil. It just didn't. As far as demonic, I didn't get that experience from it. And neither did Bishop David. So, yeah. So if you haven't checked it out, you can go to my website, bishopjameslong.com, and just click on the social media links where it says YouTube. Click it, and it takes you right there. So, yeah, I've prayed about this. I mean, I think it was a cryptid. I mean, I don't know. Oh, look at this heretic. Oh boy, you're such a heretic. You don't even know how to spell heretic. Idiot. Go away. Sorry. I had to mute somebody. Anyway. Oh, Alyssa, they actually have no issues with it. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. So what is it? So Ohio River. It's not This, no, I mean, it's in Kentucky. It's in Kentucky, but it's not near the Ohio River. So, but anyway, so yeah, there we go. Well, it doesn't give a whole lot of information about them. That's the problem, because they're so unknown. We just don't know what these are. But listen to this. I want to share this with you guys, everybody. This is a story that I wanted to point out. This is interesting. This is by T.K. Randall. And it says there is recently a 25-foot humped creature that has been recently filmed moving across the surface of Loch Ness. Interesting. A veteran Nessie hunter has captured footage of something strange that was moving across the surface of the loch. Of course, there have been a few Loch Ness monster enthusiasts as prolific as Eon, somebody who has, over the last few years, huge name, not even going to try, recorded dozens of sightings of anomalous objects and disturbances in the waters of Scotland's most interesting cryptid. The latest clip, which was captured via webcam at the Clansman Hotel on October the 25th, shows what appear to be two large humps protruding from the water. Two sections of this creature can be visibly seen rising out of the water as it moves at a steady pace. A large front hump and a large second hump behind it. It's interesting. Both humps are black to gray in color, but visually striking in the environment. It says, I was ecstatic and captivated by this large, fast-moving, unidentified animal out in the deep water in the loch. My only instinct was that this could not be anything other than the Loch Ness Monster, they said. Now, based on the footage, this person estimates that the creature was 25 feet in length, rises about 3 feet out of the water, he said, and there are no known creatures in the Loch Ness that have dimensions like this one. So you can actually check this out. It is interesting. It's I've seen the video. If you go to YouTube, if you want to look at it and see it for yourself, go ahead, no problem. I mean, you should, and maybe you're like, well, you can even debunk it. How's that? There's a lot of people who've seen this and said it looked absolutely 100% are convinced that it's legit. But all you got to do is type in 25-foot Loch Ness, LOCHNESS monster swims by CLANSMAN. So I want to make sure I let everybody know that. And but yeah, it's not very long. It's not a long video. But take a look at it. 25-foot Loch Ness Monster swims by Clansman, CLANSMAN. And you can see it. And if you do, let me know what you think. But I have seen it several times. I'm looking at it now. And he's absolutely convinced that there's something there. But you can definitely see. Now, personally, there's a lot of choppy waves there. So one could say it looks like to me it's waves, but I don't know. There's watch the whole thing. It's not very long. It's only 1 minute and 24 seconds. But check it out. I'd be curious to see what you think. Yeah. Now, they have, as a matter of fact. There's someone's asking about did I hear something about a Bigfoot that has been heard recently screaming and whooping in Sasquatch hotspot. I have heard about this. This is by Restore, by the way. And it says Bigfoot has been spotted by eyewitnesses for a 5th time in an American country. The urban legend was allegedly heard whooping in a hotspot, according to recent report. The Bigfoot Field Research Organization, BFRO, founded in 1995, caught the hairy creature making noise in Connecticut's Sasquatch hotspot last year. Eyewitnesses say they heard the giant's screaming long-duration whooping just after midnight last October. Now, the visitor to New England claimed the sound was not similar to other wildlife, such as bobcats or coyotes. The footage was captured at Collis P. Huntington State Park, an 883-acre wilderness retreat east of New Haven. The sounds lasted for 10 minutes. The BFRO, which obtained the witness accounts, categorized it as a Class B case, meaning that it was a second-tier sighting below Class A. but a credible report despite the lack of corroborating evidence. The mystery was resurfaced this week with coverage by local ABC affiliate WTNH News 8. The voice had quite a bit of power behind it, and I could tell that it was carried over a distance. I would rough guesstimate at least 2 clicks, about 1.25 miles from my cords, the anonymous witness said in the report. It's pretty interesting because the sighting marks the 5th Sasquatch sighting in the Fairfield County since 1953. And Litchfield has the most sightings of any county with 11, the most recent of which occurred in the summer of 2022. This alleged Bigfoot was heard yelping for roughly 10 seconds in the video before pausing and repeating the pattern. There's a lot of people who are hearing these creatures. I've heard a couple creatures, a couple sounds by people who are in Kentucky. And to me, honestly, it sounds like, it does sound like some type of, like an ape of some kind, or maybe a monkey or something, but it does sound like that. Yeah. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Now, by the way, when you go to locations, sometimes you don't think these locations would be haunted. But did you know, my dear friends, that if you go to Disney, well, you might just have some paranormal experience yourself. Eva Miller reports this. A Disney cast member was forced to delete evidence after having a paranormal experience. Thank you there, Missy. Listen to this. It's interesting. Disney's theme parks are well known for creating enchanting experiences that immerse guests in fantasy. But some former cast members are now sharing stories of encounters that blur the line between fantasy and the paranormal. From ghostly apparitions to mysterious voice and eerie shadows, these accounts paint an unexpectedly chilling side of the theme parks. Interesting. So one former cast member recalls a haunting experience beneath the haunted mansion itself. The backstage quote, the backstage hallways beneath the haunted mansion are long, and I remember it being very easy to get lost down there. They said, describing how these labyrinth halls wind their way beneath the beloved attraction. The cast member shared an unsettling encounter, though. This is what they said. But if you go the right way, the hallways lead to the other side of the mansion, out near where there's a cast member cafeteria. One day I was walking through the halls, trying to remember how to get to the correct exit to go eat. I walked past a custodial closet. I saw this woman that I kind of knew, and she worked custodial with me, and we had spoken to each other only once or twice before. And I very briefly smiled at her as I kept walking. Thought nothing of the encounter. A week or so later, another person told me that the same woman had passed away recently. And the person says that fairly positive she died just before she saw her in that closet. So these surreal stories don't stop at the haunted mansion. Another cast member recalls a spine-chilling moment on Main Street, USA, early one morning after the park had opened. As they swept near the famous Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse statue, they heard a voice behind them say, "Excuse me, miss." Prepare to give directions. They turned to find no one. Quote, I looked around expecting to see someone nearby, but there wasn't a single person close to me. They recounted. The voice was so clear and distinct, like someone right behind me, but there wasn't anyone even close to that description anywhere in sight. But that's pretty interesting, huh? Yeah, there's a lot of people who are saying that they're experiencing these haunted experiences in Disney. Who knows? I don't know much about that. I do. Yeah. The vestments, yeah. Well, not the vestments, but my clerics. Yeah, I wasn't on, I was never with Art Bell, but I have been on Coast to Coast quite a few times with Nori. Here's an interesting story. I don't know if you guys have heard about this one, but there is an Illinois truck driver is reporting a close encounter with a Bigfoot. And this is by T.K. Randall. So the sighting occurred while the driver was cruising along remote country roads in rural Peoria County. It had started out like any other day when Gary Rutherford Jr., he's a 42-year-old truck driver who had been transporting USPS mail along Route 9 between Glassford and Canton, Illinois, encountered something he would never forget. He said it was 6 a.m. on October 5th, and everything had been going smoothly until about 3/4 of a mile along the route. His low beams illuminated something strange on the side of the road. He says, I didn't process this thing until I was right up on it. I did a double take, he recalled. It was standing, 2 legs, brown fur. I drove past it about 5 seconds. In that moment, it locked eyes with me, orange, yellowish, glowing eyes. I realized it was eye to eye, even though I was sitting up high in a 24-foot truck. So I estimated the thing to be at least 8 foot tall. I was just stunned, trying to figure out what I just saw. The encounter would go on to bother him greatly, and he quickly developed a keen interest in researching and reading about the Bigfoot phenomenon. He says, I replayed over and over into my mind. He said, the thing was just so huge. It was walking along the side of the road like it was getting ready to cross. And it was just me and him out there. I think it was just as surprised as I was. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing with this. People ask me about this Bigfoot thing. Look, here's the deal. I've not seen what. No, have I ever seen a bipedal creature that looked like Bigfoot? No. I did see at the Gates of Hell Cemetery. I did see this creature that had these eyes, these glowing eyes. But I don't know what that was. It could have been an animal. I don't know. But here's what I do know. It was about, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. I can't remember. It's been a while. And I had a game warden on. I've talked about this before. I had a game warden on from Alaska. And he was a Alaskan native. Or native Alaskan. He grew up in the woods. He was a hunter. That's what he did. He was a game warden. And he was on the show, and he was you were not going to convince him of anything else other than what he saw was Bigfoot. And I remember asking him, and I've said this before, I asked him, I said, well, is it possible that you misidentified this creature, that perhaps maybe it was a bear, or perhaps, standing up, and maybe scratching its back or something, or perhaps it was a moose. And his exact words to me is, if I don't know the difference between a bear and a moose and Bigfoot, then I should not be a game warden in Alaska. And he was right. He's not selling a book. He's not selling a movie. He's not doing any of that stuff. He is just absolutely convinced that what he saw was Bigfoot. Because I said, well, we even talked about, well, could it have been a big old grizzly bear? He said, the problem with that is this had long legs. Great grizzly bears don't have great big legs and walk bipedal for long periods of time. Now, they do stand up, and they can walk for a brief amount of time. This creature was standing straight up like a man, and he had long legs. And this was a huge, huge bipedal creature with long legs. So he was not, he was absolutely 1,000,000%. He was nothing. I try to throw out, those could it be, maybe. So I was trying to be fair and offer that some type of criticisms to be fair. He destroyed every one of them, every one of them. So he was convinced. He was absolutely convinced that what he saw was Bigfoot. And that's, so I don't know. I don't know. Ben, if you have any questions, you guys are more than welcome to jump in here. I have quite a few stories. By the way, we're going to be here as well tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're looking forward to it. It's open mic night where we have, we talk about anything and everything from 8 to 8:30. We just goof off and just have a conversation. We just have a great, it's just a good time. And then at 8:30, 8:45 or so, we go into your paranormal questions, your demonology questions. I also go into questions regarding the paranormal, demonology. I want to talk about this, though, before we jump off, because this one, guys, I really want your opinion on this. I have a problem. There's something, this does not feel right with me. And I don't know. I'm troubled with this. So this is by The Conversation, and it doesn't show Damien Varela. Listen. I'm curious to see what you think. Talking to dead people through AI. The business of digital resurrection might not be helpful, ethical, or even legal. So earlier this year, he says, a Spanish TV program showed several people listening to digital recreations of the voices of their deceased relatives that had been generated by artificial intelligence from real audios. It sparked widespread debate in both public and professional spheres, as these recreations not only mimic loved ones' voices, but also ask poignant questions and provocative, intense emotional reactions. This phenomenon, which had been dubbed digital resurrection, that's what they're naming it, digital resurrection, involves using advanced AI technology to recreate certain aspects of deceased individuals, such as their voice or physical appearance. While it may offer momentary comfort, the author says, such as practice opens a raft of profound debates on ethical and philosophical and legal fronts. So the risk of creating false memories is one of them. So chief among the philosophical implications of digital resurrection is that it calls into question what it really means to be. So by recreating the voice or likeness of someone who has passed away, we might believe we are extending their existence in some other way. Or perhaps we are simply creating a shadow of them lacking in substance. However, the essence of human being is undoubtedly more than a set of program responses or an image on a screen. And it seems unlikely that a digital simulation can capture the depth and uniqueness of a person's lived experience, emotions, and thoughts. Memories plays an important role here. A digital resurrection can be seen as an attempt to preserve memory to maintain the presence of those that we've lost. But human memory is not static. It selects, changes, shifts, adapts. And by digitally recreating a person, we run the risk of altering our own authentic memories of them. Is it ethical to hold on to an artificial representation of someone instead of letting the memory of them evolve and transform over time? So the question is, the true identity. A person's identity is a complex web of experiences and relationships. When we try to recreate someone, the author says, we might think we are trying to capture their identity. However, we are more likely to create an idealized version of them, one that conforms to our own expectations and desires. And these technological advances also raise questions about grief itself. Death is a natural part of life, and mourning is essential for coming to terms with the loss. By trying to maintain a connection with the deceased through digital resurrection, we interfere with this pivotal process, which could prevent us from moving forward and finding peace in the acceptance of loss. Amen. And he talks about exploiting grief for profit. I don't like this, no. I don't like AI. I'm not a fan of AI. I think AI is a problem. And I think that we better get control of this very, very quickly. I have some different views on AI. I'm not a fan of it. I think that this could be problematic in the future. Very problematic. And I'm just not. And you guys know me. I'm not a worrywart, or I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. I truly believe that AI, because I could see in the future where chips being implanted, and you have to have this particular chip in order for certain transactions to occur in life, and basically governed and run by AI. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I think this is right here, exploiting grief for profit. We have to remember that technology is a business, and the prospect of companies making a profit by meddling with someone as profoundly human and painful as the loss of a loved one raises further philosophical, ethical, and moral questions. Certainly it does. From an ethical point of view, this kind of business seems to transgress the fundamental principles of respect and dignity that should guide our human interactions. Grieving is an intimate and sacred process, a path to acceptance and inner peace after significant loss. Commercial intrusion to the process could therefore be seen as a form of emotional exploitation. Amen. Taking advantage of people at one of the most vulnerable moments in their lives. I think this author is right. This is, and folks, I'm telling you now, this will happen more and more. You're going to see more of this. I'm letting you know now. This is just the beginning. There are going to be companies that are going to exploit this. And before you know it, you're going to be tempted to send in videos of loved ones that have passed on, because what they do is they take the videos and they also take their voice, and they create this artificial intelligence. So it mimics the person, if they were laughing, if they're smiling, or if singing, whatever it might be. And they mimic this person who's passed away and their voice. So you could have a conversation with this artificial intelligence that mimics, just looks just like your loved one, sounds just like your loved one. And I'm going to tell you this: demons do the same thing. And that is a problem. So, do I support this? No. No. As clergy, I have tried helping people who have grieved and are grieving the loss of a loved one. And you need to go through those stages of grief. You need to. I think this keeps people in a stage of grief because they never get to the acceptance. Never. And I think this could absolutely be manipulated by demonic. I find it to be very problematic. And I think it's going to offer far more psychological damage than good. So for me, I think this is purely demonic. I would not play around with this at all. Because in my opinion, this could be a perfect way for evil to manipulate. And by the way, I'm going to say one thing that we have to run away from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. There was an individual, a young man, I believe he was 13 or 15, I can't remember, but he had a relationship with this artificial intelligence person. This, you create this artificial intelligence, you have a conversation, and he was saying how much he loves this person, this artificial intelligence. This artificial intelligence was saying how much they love him and that they wish that he could join them in the artificial world. That was enough for him to take his life. This is how demons can easily manipulate this type of technology. Don't like AI. For those of you on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and of course, KGRADB Radio, remember, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless. And by the way, before we leave, really quick, next week, I received something in the mail. A little card. Inside the card, it said, "Want to join?" Next week, we're going to talk about the Illuminati. God bless.